Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
I'll tell you what I was incredibly disturbed by. I had this on my list yesterday, but I didn't have a chance to get to it. It's John F. Kerry, a guy who has repeatedly sworn an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States, including that pesky First Amendment. And the former Secretary of State took part in a World Economic Forum panel on green energy a couple of days ago. Near the end of the panel, a member of the audience asked what can be done to push back against disinformation surrounding climate change online. Now, I think that's a great question, and I would have loved to hear his answer to it. But instead of saying, well, we need to get facts out there, or we need to do this, or we need to do that, instead, Kerry basically puts the blame for what they call disinformation on nothing less than the First Amendment to the Constitution. Listen to his answer.
But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change.
Now, what sort of change is he going to implement? Is he going to say that disinformation is no longer covered by the First Amendment? And then he also goes on to suggest that this was an issue unique to democracies. Oh, darn those pesky democracies. Someone who has been a real advocate for free speech in all of its forms, disinformation and otherwise, is Anthony Constantino. He's an interesting guy, an energetic guy, a quirky guy. He also happens to be the CEO of Sticker Mule. Anthony, thanks so much for joining me on the radio. I appreciate you staying up late.
Pleasure to be here. I'm a night owl, so this works out great. Works out great for me.
Outstanding. Well, we're happy to have you hooting with all of the other fellow night owls. Hey, before we get into what Kerry said and the issue of free speech in general, what is Sticker Mule? Just so folks understand where you're coming from and what you do.
I call us the internet's most kick-ass brand because, no one else would even dare use that label for themselves. But, we're the internet's fastest-growing printing company, 1,200 people, almost 1,000 manufacturing jobs created in the United States. And we're proudly a privately owned company. I'm the sole owner. And, we're 1,200 people in 39 countries and nearly 1,000 manufacturing jobs in the United States. And internet's most kick-ass brand or internet's hottest printing company, whatever you want to call us.
Wow.
But, that's us in a nutshell.
Well, that's great. Hey, so tell me what you made of Kerry's comments as it relates to free speech there.
Well, first of all, I'm very embarrassed. I voted for this guy. So, the good thing is, you get opinions change over time. And I made a big mistake some years ago, actually supporting this guy because I didn't know he was, I don't know if your word is evil or just stupid. Probably evil because, he's not he can't be that stupid of a guy. So probably evil because, the concept of disinformation in and of itself, an evil concept because who really knows what it is? And if you go back just a few years ago, people got short memories, but just a few years ago, there was a website, I call it Jack Dorsey's Twitter, and they were going around, socially, I used to say the word socially executing, but they used the word banning, but they were removing people by the thousands that Jack Dorsey thought didn't deserve to talk because he deemed them as spreading misinformation. But these were famous people, credible people, respected people. I thought it was really tragic when he he banned a guy named Roger Stone, who was an advisor to President Trump. And whether you'd like Roger Stone or not, he was a historic figure, and everyone deserved to hear his voice. And then he went on to ban a guy named Donald Trump, but he banned thousands of scientists, thousands of lawyers, and other respected people who earned a right to share their opinions. And so, yeah, it's really disturbing to hear John Kerry want to go back to this era. You know, we were just there a short while ago. It was really bad. Jack Dorsey was, I say, socially executing people by the thousands. Luckily, he could only remove them from the internet and not, actually do worse things, or maybe he would have gone farther and done even worse things. But luckily, he could only kick people off the internet and not do worse things to them. But it's really disturbing that John Kerry wants to go back to this era.
I spend a lot of time talking about free speech, and, it's one of those issues where it's very easy to defend speech when you agree with what's being said. When you disagree with what's being said, as clearly Kerry disagrees with the disinformation on climate change, it's much tougher to stand up and defend unpopular speech. Let me throw something else at you. I brought this up with Lindsay Rank. She's the director of campus advocacy for an organization called FIRE, the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. And I asked her not just about false speech, not just about disinformation, but I asked her about hate speech. I want you to listen to her answer and then give me your take in terms of whether you think hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. Here's Lindsay Rank from FIRE.
Within the American constitutional system, hate speech is not a legal category. So there's nothing in our United States law, in our First Amendment precedent that sets apart hate speech as a different category of speech that doesn't get First Amendment protection. So essentially, generally speaking, you do have a right under the First Amendment to engage in hate speech. There's a couple of important reasons for that. One is that it gives us the opportunity to know who the racists in the room are, right? To know who the anti-Semites in the room are, right? Like, if that speech gets pushed underground more and more and more, it's not that you don't get rid of the racism by pushing the racism underground. You just lose your opportunity to know who is racist.
Anthony, I thought she made a very compelling case. I'm curious what you think. Do you think hate speech is protected speech?
I say it very simply like this: conversation calms tension, and censorship inflames tension. And if you look at recently what happened to me, I've made a very calm, unifying statement. I said people at Sticker Mule like Trump, people at Sticker Mule like Biden, we all get along, and the hate directed at Trump supporters need to stop. And for that simple message, I had hundreds of thousands of people saying very hateful things at me, thousands of people sending messages encouraging me to actually commit suicide and kill myself, which is,
wow.
You could say beyond the pale. This was all over the internet for a short amount of time. It got covered all over the place. But these people, look, maybe they had to express themselves. I've been a customer service expert for a long time. I did all the customer service at Sticker Mill since I started the company in the beginning. I learned firsthand people that say hateful things, they often regret it, and they learn from the experience, and they often end up changing their minds and feeling bad about what they said. So I think people expressed a lot of hate at me, and I just calmly took it. I accepted it. People told me that I should kill myself. They said all sorts of weird things. People even sent me really inappropriate things in the mail. I won't even probably say what. I don't know if I can or if I can't, but they sent me really inappropriate things in the mail. But these people, many of them probably felt so badly, they're probably going to change their minds and end up, voting for Trump and regretting what they said. So I think conversation calms tension, censorship inflames tension. What Jack Dorsey did during the Twitter era, what Mark Zuckerberg did during the pandemic era, they made the country a much darker place, and it's really disturbing that people want to go back to that. Luckily, Elon Musk intervened and fixed the situation and brought us back to some sense of normalcy where people can talk again. But what Jack Dorsey did, I'm waiting for him to come forward and apologize like Mark did. Mark wrote a sort of an apology letter. I think he's got to apologize a little more, but Jack still needs to apologize.
So just so folks understand exactly what you went through, if they don't know your history, basically, I guess it was back in August, you, the co-founder of Sticker Mule, a big company, you sent an email and text message titled Trump 2024 to the company's marketing contact list, right? That's basically it. You touted your support for Donald Trump, and you explained why you were supporting Donald Trump, right?
More simply than that, the subject line was misrepresentation a bit because, the message really was people on both sides work at Sticker Mule and the hate of Trump supporters need to end. We all get along here. I don't see why the world can't get along in a general sense, no matter what side you're on.
That's a great message.
For the last 8 years, there's been extreme hatred directed at Trump supporters. People say it's directed at both sides, but really it's an inordinate amount of hate directed at Trump supporters. Everybody knows it's been going on. They try to rip families apart. They try to end friendships. They try to destroy American businesses. They tried to destroy my business. They tried to destroy Goya. Remember when they were doing a Goya?
Bob Unamwe, absolutely. No, big fans of Goya, both the product and his willingness to speak out. So all you did was say, hey, look, we have a lot of people of varying political persuasions that work here. I happen to be for Trump, but wouldn't it be great if everybody was respectful of everybody's opinions? And for that, you essentially got pilloried all over the place.
Especially given that bullets are now flying and people are even making jokes and saying, oh, it wasn't that serious because it only hit an ear. But, an ear is very close to a head. So, very close to the brain. So, yeah, just for that, I had a lot of hate speech directed at me. So it's really weird. It's really, it's really obnoxious, to put it lightly. Like all these censors, guys like Jack Dorsey that are in hiding now, but I think Jack Dorsey's got to come out of hiding and apologize, because guys like him that went around censoring everybody and saying, oh, I got to take strong action against hate speech. They didn't care at all when people were bullying Trump supporters. They didn't care one bit. In fact, I remember very clearly a period during Trump's presidency where they were calling Trump supporters a word that starts with an N and ends with an I. I don't like using it, but they used the word Nazi to define Trump supporters. And they had an encouragement on Twitter where everyone was going around Twitter saying, I like punching Nazis, which meant I like punching Trump supporters. And Jack Dorsey loved that. He made it a trending topic. He made it the number one trending topic on Twitter. And he was encouraging everyone to be violent towards Trump supporters. But then these same guys say, oh, I don't like hate speech. So they're hypocrites. They're obnoxious, and they need to apologize. Mark Zuckerberg apologized. Jack needs to apologize too.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced, specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. micro-tabb.com.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states, and MLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Psst, healthcare pros, word's out, and it's too good to keep quiet. Look, LinkedIn is revolutionizing job hunting, making it possible to search by specialty, shift preference, and salary. Endless scrolling is out. Whether it's a mental health therapist or dental hygienist, finding the perfect role is faster and easier than ever. Head to linkedin.com/healthcare and start your search today.
Now, there was an article in Forbes about what you were doing. Headline, Sticker Mule's political stance undermines workplace inclusion and customer trust. I'm not really clear on how what you were doing was undermining workplace inclusion and customer trust. It would almost strike me as the exact opposite of that.
I don't get it either. The only thing I can imagine is our PR director came from Forbes. I don't know if they're upset. We learned out later the person that wrote this article was actually the senior vice president of a competitor, not just the vice president, but actually a senior vice president of a competitor. I didn't even know that for a few weeks after this article came out. But, we reached out to Forbes. They didn't want to do anything about it. So they just said, our contributor network, we got no control. So I don't know. I had a company called Forbes. They used to have a good reputation. I was actually thinking about talking to them about don't they do the thing where they evaluate your net worth and whatnot? And I was going to let them maybe do that with me. But I don't know if I want anything to do with Forbes anymore. We got our PR director came from there, but they got a really unethical situation going on there where they're letting our competitors write articles. They cite anonymous sources. And by the way, the person that wrote the article was a senior vice president of a competitor and a big time supporter of the other side that doesn't like President Trump. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on at Forbes. I don't know if they're mad that our PR director came from there. I don't know if they don't like him or they, what's going on. But, yeah, I was going to talk to them about, whatever they do to evaluate you, but I don't think I want much to do with Forbes anymore, and I don't know if anyone else should want much to do with them either.
Understandable. If people are just tuning in, we're talking with Anthony Constantino. He's the CEO of Sticker Mule. I was talking with Dominic Carter earlier in the hour, and we were talking about the whole Taylor Swift situation and how some Republicans don't like her now because of her support for Kamala Harris, and Dominic mentioned the well-cited example of Michael Jordan as to why he never got involved in politics when he said, I need Republicans buy sneakers too. I would assume the same is true of your business. I would assume you have Democratic customers as well as Republican customers. That being said, I would think it's a big risk for you to come out and advertise who you're voting for. Tell me why it was so important for you to mention who you were voting for, even though you knew, I'm sure you knew, there might be some sort of political pushback or some sort of blowback based on what you were saying.
If you look historically at, the world's most influential business executives, none of them woke up every day trying to make money. Elon's certainly not doing it. They wake up trying to solve big problems. And this situation we got with the hatred towards Trump supporters and the division of this country is a big problem. And, I haven't woken up for a long time thinking about trying to make money. I just think about trying to solve problems. I do all sorts of stuff in that regard. And, lo and behold, I end up making money. So I'm trying to solve a big problem. When you try to solve big problems, it's never easy. And the payback sometimes takes a while. But I think I'm doing the right thing. I'm making progress on this issue. Lots of other people are speaking up. You got Elon came before me. But now you got Elton John saying great things about Trump. You even got Mark Zuckerberg saying great things about Trump. You got Bill Ackman, a big-time Democrat, saying great things about Trump. Snoop Dogg, 50 Cent, Lil Pump, Ice Cube. You got Mike Tyson. You got a long list of people you wouldn't have expected before saying great things about Trump and helping fix the problem of anti-Trump hate. It's starting to seem really more ridiculous, more absurd every day to hate Trump and to hate his supporters. So I think I'm making progress and doing the right thing and solving a big problem. And you get rewarded when you do that in life, and that's what this is all about.
Have you lost business? Have you lost business because of this?
It's hard to tell because there's so many factors at play. To say what's influencing the sales of the company, there's so many things at play. We got so many interesting things going on. Like I said, I like solving big problems. We just launched a platform called Stores where before you could buy from us, now you can sell through us. So anyone that's a customer of Sticker Mule can now start selling their items on Sticker Mule and make money. There's no bigger problem to solve. One of the biggest problems you can solve in the world is helping people earn a living. And so I'm focused on that. So, that's got an upward influence on sales. This had, a multi-directional influence on sales, and time's going to tell the story. But I'm the type of guy that's going to do whatever it takes to make whatever I do a win for myself, for my employees, and really for the community and the world. So, we're going to see what's going to happen. I think Trump's going to win. I think all this craziness is going to go away. I think you're going to see a situation where people are very happy with Trump's second term.
What about your employees that support Kamala Harris? Do they face any sort of retribution from anybody else? Is there any sort of hazing that goes on? Do they get a hard time at all?
No, unlike certain companies like Netflix, right? Netflix and Facebook, or I don't know, somebody, I just saw Netflix has almost 100% donations to one side. And, a lot of these tech companies, they have 100% of donations to the other side. My company hires people on both sides. My executive team is on both sides. People that are good friends of mine are on both sides. Everybody knows the type of person I am and the way I conduct myself. I treat everyone well. Doesn't matter who you are. And that's why, believe it or not, the people on the Trump side at Sticker Mule that were close friends of mine, they didn't want me to do this. They were scared about the repercussions. The people that were, maybe more so on the Biden side were more supportive because they know that we got a great thing going here at Sticker Mule. People get along, and they were supportive of the message that why can't people get along? No matter what happens in November, why can't people get along, outside of Sticker Mule? Why can't the country be more civil with each other? We shouldn't have bullets flying. You know, they said there's been 2 assassination attempts. I think there's been more than 2, because even if you remember during the first term, they had people surrounded the White House. They were going to storm the White House and try to kill him back then. And there was a guy named Joe Biden that made jokes about it and thought it was funny and mocked the situation. And that wasn't a really nice thing to do. So we got to make this all go away and get people back to getting along. And I think people get along as thick or meal no matter, you know, what side you're on. And if you know me and you know my company, I got people in 39 countries, very diverse management team, culturally. My social circle is very diverse, culturally, socioeconomically, and also politically.
Anthony, you are an interesting guy. You built a pretty impressive company. You are basically willing to say whatever you want, irrespective of what the slings and arrows that come your way might include. I read that you're also a professional boxer in Mexico. Is that accurate, or is that a different Anthony Constantino?
No, I was actually just talking to my coach before you called me. He was calling me, asking me when I'm coming back to Mexico to box. And actually, I got a gym in Mexico. It just got certified as the certified by the WBC, as I think it's the only certified WBC gym in Mexico. We're going to be training Olympic athletes in Mexico. But I love Mexico. I spent part of my year in Mexico for the last 6 years of my life, and I boxed. I got 5 fights in Mexico. I love boxing. I'm a big fan of the country of Mexico, and it's a beautiful place. People don't understand how nice it is, and if you're there, you would even understand the immigration situation better than people do. A lot of people don't really understand it, but Mexico is a great country. The pressure on people to leave there and come here, a lot of times it's hurtful to Mexico just as much as it's hurtful to us.
Impact confirmed. The Slayer has been activated.
Demonic threat level increasing.
Hold the line!
All the power of hell cowering before one man.
id Software presents Doom, The Dark Ages. Available now on Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, and PC.
Rated M for mature.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes!
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree?
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet?
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back. Use as directed.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Now, give me an idea. Give folks listening an idea, as someone that spent a lot of time there, about the perspective of people that are migrating from Mexico to the United States, both legally and illegally. What's driving that, in your view?
America is the king of marketing. People think, America does a great job of marketing itself, and Mexico doesn't have the same marketing budget we do. So, we've done a great job of marketing ourselves for a long time to the world, and we are, we're the greatest country in the world, and everybody knows that. But Mexico is a beautiful country too. It's a great country. If you built your life there, people don't know sometimes how good they got it. They just hear all the great stuff about America, and they want to come here. It's like, it's like you go to your local chain, it's like you go to a neighborhood restaurant and you love it. It's a mom and pop shop, and you hear about this fancy chain that's got all this marketing behind it, and you leave your favorite mom and pop restaurant to go to this fancy chain, and all you end up, disappointed because you were so happy with your local mom and pop shop where you knew the owners. And that's the situation. There are a lot of people in Mexico that got a great situation. There's parks all over the place in Mexico. There's malls all over the place in Mexico. There's all sorts of free entertainment activities for the people that live there. There's inexpensive food in the streets. There's expensive food if you want that too. There's beautiful movie theaters. There's all sorts of beautiful stuff. And it's a great place. It's a great place to live. There's street vendors that come out at 10 o'clock in the night and they serve desserts and stuff for families to go get food with their kids at 10 o'clock at night. I'm like, we don't have that here. And so I tell people in Mexico, if your life's already set up in Mexico and you got a nice middle-class life, keep building in Mexico. Stay in Mexico. You're going to come over here and start from scratch, and you're going to get separated from your family. And if you come over here and ask for asylum, what happened when the president changed is a lot of people came over here. They heard all you got to do is come to America and say, I want asylum. And they gave it to you almost no questions asked. So tons of people came not really knowing what they were getting themselves into. And once you say you want asylum, you're stuck here for 10 years. So what they did was really cruel because you had millions and millions of people coming through Mexico. And they're not just Mexicans, they're also other South Americans and Central Americans. But they would pass through, with this dream that life's going to be great. And for some people, they would come here and it's great for them. But for many people, they were giving up better lives in their home countries, not knowing what was on the other side of the wall. And they would come and say, I want asylum. And then they would be stuck here. And once you say you want asylum, you can't go back. You can't go back for Christmas. You can't go back for any vacation. You're never going to see your family again. Luckily, you get FaceTime. You can do FaceTime calls, but they come over here and they ask for asylum. And if they don't like it, they're stuck. They don't get to ever go back and see their families. They don't get to spend Christmas together. And in some cases, you got a family with 5 brothers and sisters, and only one brother leaves, and he's cut off or she's cut off from the rest of the family for a very long time. And the older people don't leave. The parents and the grandparents generally don't leave. It's generally the younger kids. And it's a very sad situation where kids separate from their moms and dads and their grandmas and grandpas and their aunts and uncles, and they come here. Some of them get a better life. Some of them don't. The ones that don't, they're stuck because of the asylum situation. So,
Anthony, I hope you'll come back. I'm just about out of time, but I have to ask you this before we say goodbye. And if you could give me a brief answer to a complicated question, I'd appreciate it. You got this great company, Sticker Mule. You've done very, very well. You keep all your employees and all your manufacturing in the United States. A lot of other people, even people that may not be as fond of Mexico as you are, have moved all their manufacturing operations offshore because it's a lot cheaper. Why haven't you done that?
Yeah, I like Mexico, but I do no manufacturing in Mexico. I'm just there to live because I like it and I box. It makes sense to manufacture in America because if you got, some brain power and you got engineering strength, I went to RPI, which is a pretty good engineering school, and I love engineers. We got an incredible engineering team, 100 engineers, hardware and software engineers at Sticker Mill. And if you put your brain power behind manufacturing in America, you can do it, and you can do it a lot better here than you can doing it in another country and trying to ship it across border and deal with customs and deal with shipping delays and everything else. So, we got to take our engineering strength in America, software and hardware engineering, and put it towards manufacturing here. I do it all here. Anyone can do it all here, but we got to put our brain power towards it. Too much brain power goes towards just this tech software stuff, Google and Twitter and Facebook and all these guys, but we got to put our brain power towards manufacturing, and we can bring it all back to America.
All right. Anthony Constantino, you got to come back. I enjoyed the conversation very much.
Likewise, I had a great time, and anytime you want me, just shoot me a message. I'll be back.
I appreciate that, Anthony.
Thank you to your listeners, too. Hopefully you enjoyed. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you. The CEO of Sticker Mule, Anthony Constantino.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Today's episode is sponsored by NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast. Life comes with big money questions. Is it better to max out your 401k or put more in a brokerage account? Does buying a home make financial sense in today's market? Should you use extra cash to pay off debt or invest? NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast has the answers. Their finance journalists break down investing and budgeting strategies to help you build wealth and navigate major financial decisions. Make smarter money moves. Follow NerdWallet's Smart Money Podcast wherever you listen.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
You want to be heard? Any comment on our conversation, feel free to give me a call. 646-720-0635. That's 646-720-0635. This is The Other Side of Midnight. Straight ahead.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.